Hey YouTube, it's me, Rail. I'm here to talk about Game 3 for Rcube, our voxel variety game. Game 3 is Saldari. This is a fantasy world that you are going to go out and conquer. You will start out as a little purple psychical lizard. That's right, psychical. You've been sent out as a clutch of 10 mind-linked eggs. Those are essentially 10 lives. You need to hatch out of your egg, get your bearings, find a species, and then mind control it. Then you're going to run this species, build it up into advanced civilization, the most advanced civilization in Saldari, and conquer the realm. So today we're going to give you an idea of what the world is like, what the creatures that inhabit the world are like, and a little bit of what the gameplay is like. So Saldari is a fantasy world: armor, swords, shields, magic, farming, peasants, kings ruling the peasants, dragons, castles, monsters, dungeons. I won't get too detailed about specifics and specific materials, but expect that there's going to be stone tools to iron to steel to different magical metals. The tech tree will include but stop at simple muskets, so you'll be able to get gunpowder and get a musket and fire it about as fast, probably slower than a bow, but it's an option. If you want the creature comforts we get from electricity, that's going to require magic instead. So if you want torches that stay lit, that's going to require magic. There's going to be multiple unique fantasy races. We will describe a few of them later in this video. No humans, though. Humans are boring in fantasy worlds. Before we get into the details of the different races, let's talk more about the things that are in common between all the creatures in Saldari. So every creature has attributes like its strength or agility, stamina, its physical capability. It has skills that determines how well they do things, how good they are at a particular action, whether or not they are capable of it or not. And then there's a mental state that determines what action they're going to try and take, what they want. So attributes, simple things like strength and endurance. Base attributes are determined by the species of the creature. Bears, for example, start with a higher strength than rabbits. Genetics also play a role. That particular bear might have a good uh, genetic strength stat, so its maximum strength is higher, or it might grow muscle faster than another bear with a worse strength genetics. And then, of course, you have a chance to pass on those genetics to your children. There will be a chance to get it from the either parent, and then also a chance of mutation there. So it might go up or it might go down as well. So a bit of genetic drift. So that determines, again, what a creature can do, whether or not they can lift a boulder, for example. Skills are a creature's individual knowledge and ability. Your civilization, for example, may have knowledge of iron and how to make steel, but an individual creature will need prospecting and mining and smelting skills to be able to identify iron and collect it and turn it into steel. So the bigger your population, the better, the more backup experts you can have in case of extreme adventure. Skill increases can come from books, training from someone with a higher skill level, and just plain practice. Practice will increase the skill level, but it'll only grant a chance of discovering certain facts like the amount of water a certain crop needs. Books will unlock knowledge for 100%. The knowledge is there in the book, like the amount of water that crop needs, like tomatoes, but it'll only give a low amount of skill experience. You won't get a lot better at that skill. You'll just learn what the options are, what you need to do. They'll also have skill requirements to understand the contents. So a more complex topic, you might need to go out and practice that skill before you can understand the book. Tutoring or training with an expert will grant transfer knowledge and build up an XP boost when practicing the skill. So some of the benefits of a book in that you get those new unlocks, but then also some of the benefits of going out and doing the skill, you get that built up XP boost. And we want to have long interconnected skill trains, like strength and mining and digging and prospecting and smelting and smithing, or planting and digging and weeding and watering and pest removal and harvesting. So both skills where they interlink, there's different ones that work together, and then also a large pool of skills for a specific thing, like farming. So then we've also got the third thing all creatures have is a mental state. So this is hunger, exhaustion, also how much they trust other creatures, how willing they are to take orders and follow their plans. If creatures aren't getting fed and they have a ruler, they'll start to resent that ruler and trust them less. They may eventually revolt. Hunger and discomfort will also alter focus, distracting the creatures and making them less capable. The more negative emotions they have, the less focused and productive they are. And the same thing, the opposite is true. The more happier they are, the more productive they are. Some creatures will have more mental fortitude than others, and they can ignore negative emotions and discomfort for longer. And these sorts of traits, unlike genetics, these won't be inherited, but they can be learned when creatures are first forming their mental traits. And then after that point, they'll be pretty much set in stone. So, as I'm sure you can tell from all the detail we just went into, Saldari has a focus on individual creatures and individual citizens of your kingdom as you build your civilization. So let's get into the details of some of these species, starting with the player character, the Psychical Lizard. The Psychical Lizard has super developed mental abilities that allow them to subdue others' minds. But because they've always been able to get their way with mental force, they haven't had a need to develop technology or much civilization or society. There's no need for agreements or standards or currency when the whole species is commanded by the orders of the Queen Matriarch Psychical Lizard. For the same reason, these lizards also haven't developed self-control. They demand to be treated like the most exalted royalty. Any small interruption or unfulfilled desire will distract them and lessen their psychical powers. They're also very slow, physically weak, and they eventually grow heads too large to be moved under their own power. They have to have someone carry them around eventually. So this is going to be the balancing act of managing your growing civilization and the resource it needs, as well as the resources your growing body and your psychical powers need. So, speaking of your psychical powers, let's talk about the different other species that you can mind control and take over. So we're going to give just a few details about 3 of them. We think that there'll maybe be 6 or 7 species, but we'll see. This is all up in the air, of course. So the starter race is a half dog, half cow people, Borks. They're going to be pretty tall, big sturdy creatures with long shaggy fur and 2 horns on their head. They grow population numbers fast. They build with stone generally. They use bandanas tied to their horns to signify what tribe they're in. Tough omnivores with no special needs. Our next race is the Heart-Blood Brood. So this is an insect race that lives in symbiosis with a tree species. The insect queen gets laid into a tree trunk and causes the tree to grow into a superorganism, like Pando. If you haven't heard of Pando, go look it up. It's a tree system that grew a giant root system, and then trunks come up out of that like stems from another plant, and it's this huge giant tree system. And you're going to be managing that tree and all of the sap that it produces, as well as managing your insect brood that live on and around this tree structure. Our third race are Gromlins. They are sort of a half fungus, half animal thing. They've got a big central mass, kind of like a queen gromlin, that can butt off little creatures to go out and accomplish its objectives. Uh, they learn slowly and they get stronger slowly, but they can be reabsorbed into the central queen gromlin so that future gromlins it produces can be more powerful. So they kind of grow and learn as a whole. So this is a lot about managing how long you want to keep those buds outgrowing or pull them back in to increase your base gromlin. So we think these are all pretty interesting. races with unique play styles that'll be a lot of fun. And again, starting out, you're just going to be limited to the Borks, so you can learn the ropes. You'll unlock more races as you encounter them. So let's talk a little bit more about what the game will feel like by giving a very high-level overview of the start of a world. So you're going to hatch out of your egg. You're going to locate a small group of creatures or a single creature, one of the Borks if it's your first game, and you're going to brainwash them into being citizens for you. So we mentioned before that creatures all have a mental state. Brainwashing will pretty much remove that mental state, and it lets you issue direct orders, give these creatures schedules, and if they're close enough to you, you can even hop in and take direct first-person control of these creatures, as long as they're close enough to you. You're going to start off with the ability to control 10 or 12 citizens directly, just enough to get a civilization started, which is what you'll do next. You start crafting tools, farming, setting schedules, gathering the resources to start building homes and walls, getting logs and getting stone. Soon you're going to have more jobs than you have workers. You'll want to start building your population up to the next level, but then you'll hit that wall of your psychical powers, so you won't be able to brainwash any new citizens. So instead, you build your population up naturally. Your new citizens can be taught to obey your orders by their parents, and this is where the mental state comes back into play. You can grow your population up into the hundreds without mind control as long as you treat these citizens reasonably well and keep them loyal to you. This is where you can start doing research and building up the tech tree in your civilization's store of written knowledge to continue educating your future generations. And then you'll also need to start training fighters to defend yourself as your civilization starts to get more wealthy. Other NPC civilizations will start to come after you, and you'll start to need those walls and warriors. So both kinds of citizens have their perks. Your brainwashed citizens can be your personal guard, totally trustworthy, your best option to explore the world and complete individual objectives like exploring or killing one creature in particular. Your regular citizens are more suited to larger long-term goals you designate, like a giant farm, building a division of houses, building a wall around all of your city, large mining projects. And your brainwashed citizens are also your route to give orders to your other citizens without using your psychic powers. So some of them will be acting as project managers, directing others to follow mental blueprints from you. Okay, so that's everything that we've got to share about Saldari today. We hope that you're looking forward to playing it. In the future, we're going to start posting devlogs as we develop the Rcube engine. So we hope you'll come back next week and see our first devlog.